The Nigerian Coco Nyamiri, Ibole, Ndamami he, Ibole, Ndamami he, Ebulanyelu, Alamabara na ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye oseke Anamabara no ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye seke Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike Koko nyamini ụlọ nsọ gị Chukwu ka ị na-abata bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike anya bịawa ịsọpụrụ gị ugbu a bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike Chukwu nna n'ụlọ gị ka ị na-akpọ gị bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike otito na-adịrị gị mgbe niile bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike ụmụ eliwayi kọta n'otu bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike ka anyị jikọfe ya ofufe Gọdian bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike Gọdianism bụ ịhụnanya n'udo bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike butere anyị ụzọ kpetara anyị azụ bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike bịa o bịakwute ya bịa o bịakwute ya bịakwute ya bịa Bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Come to the Most High and find your peace, find rest. Yes, when all fails, when all else fails, you can always depend on ChinEke. Ndewonu. For those of you who don't know, means long life to all of you. Many people think it just simply means hello, but it means long life. My God, it's not a powerful thing to wish upon somebody else besides yourself. So welcome to another episode of Chiism Live. I'm Dr. Wonyon Husimere. It is my pleasure, as always, to say good morning to you on this wonderful Sunday morning, and a day word to you, Ukunna Charles, and day word to you, Imirage Notoha, day word to you, Akim, to you, Maurice Steele. Thank you all for being here. We're gonna have a wonderful show because this is many of you are aware of some of the challenges of having to deal with fellow humans, fighting to be a Getty. And so we're going to talk about some of the experience, I experienced, we all experience, and what can we do about it? How can we become better citizens of the world, kinder to each other, and most importantly, honoring our ChinEke and the ancestors. Before we go any further, let me add to the stream my partner in crime, so to speak, Dibia Ochoaja, you the on your hat. Dibia
Yeah, well, I was just no, I was just singing that song, just letting it bounce around my head.
Yeah.
Ụlọ nsọ gị Chukwu ka anyị na-abata, bịakwute na bịa zuru ike. And
Yes.
this show is Ulo Chineke. This is God's house. And
Yes.
the discussion that we're having is intended to bless our audience, bless us, bless the world. So
Yes.
hopefully through this broadcast, we illuminate issues that are bugging us down as people and hindering our relationship with one another. And we hope that this show will become a beacon of light for the rest of the world, particularly for people of African ancestry. So, day one, y'all guys here.
Yeah, guys, just want to announce that next Sunday, if all goes well, if weather permitting, I will be by the riverside to do the program. So for my part, maybe you want to join me by the river?
Yeah, next weekend.
Yeah, we may want to do it from the river, because
of course. Well, you're closer to the river than I have a river here too. It's a different one, so it depends on which river you're talking about.
Well, there's a river just down the street from me.
No, there you go. I got the Chattahoochee River.
Oh, that's where you are.
Yeah, it's about maybe 4 miles from here, something like that.
Yeah, really? Well, you check it out and tell me which one is better. It doesn't matter to me. I'll come, whatever. But that's my intention. If weather is okay, if all works, we'll be in nature with nature.
And reverence.
Yes, which is what it's all about. We're all about nature. And before we get started, as usual, let us pour libations. And some individuals find it rather odd that we do this ritual. Every religion has a ritual. Every religion has rituals. And the significance of the ritual is that this is how we conduct ourselves. It helps us. It's a value system is tied to our to libations, because it ties us. We're reminded about our ancestors. We are reminded to honor ChinEke. Other people, and I'm not going to go into details about what other people do, but the important thing is that libations and these rituals that we do as African people is very pertinent to the way that we conduct ourselves. So if you are, wherever you are, if you have a cup, I have my wooden cup. If you have a cup or a bowl of some sort, get it. I'm going to give you a second. Well, more than a second. Go get it and have it in front of you so that we can pour libations together, so that you have the opportunity to call upon your ancestors. And so I'm going to give you a minute or two to do so. If you don't have a cup, go get it. It's very important because we can't do anything without pouring libations, and I want you to pour it with me. I want you to pour it with me. Yes. Together. So if you don't have your cup, go get it. If you don't have your bowl, go and get it. I don't want you to watch me pour libations. I want you to pour it with me. A reminder that there is a very important ritual that you too should participate, you should engage in. It's so interesting how my children have grown up with libations, so that if they're traveling, if they come to visit, if they're traveling, if they're doing anything, they'll call and say, "Mom, would you pour libations for me?" It has become a part of who they are, and they understand the significance of pouring libations. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. Go get your cup and get your bowl. I have a wooden container that I use. So cute. Isn't it beautiful, Yudi? Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's gorgeous.
There you go.
There you go. So So let us pour libations. On our fair, on those no. I spoke with ChinEke, spoke with Dichi. He said, wherever you are, at home, outside, let us stand for a moment and pause to honor the ancestors. Today we pour libations in honor of those most recent ancestors who made it to age 80, and they have now become our guardian angels. ChinEke, thank you for the blessings that they have been in our lives and will continue to be even now that in their spiritual space. He said, Obasi dielu chukwu bioma olodumare tamona jinya mikatonda nyemi nkosi muari uvuzilele ubangiji. ChinEke, who has a different name on different tongues, we call upon you today to ask for more blessings, because you know you have blessed us. We're still walking around amongst the living. So thank you, ChinEke. But the more blessings we're asking is for you to continue this blessing. Allow us to continue to walk amongst the living. 6 feet above ground is a good day. Keep us in good health. Keep our families in good health. Wherever we go, ChinEke, we say, may nothing but goodness follow us. May we not stumble. I'm Obala. We are going to swimming in this thing called life. We will not drown. Life will not drown us. We are like dogs. The dogs sweet in water, they never get swallowed by water. ChinEke, that's who we are. We want you, ChinEke, to make sure that is smooth. All our path is laid bed, nothing but smoothness. We will not stumble. Nothing will stand in our way. And we thank you for having brought us this far and have removed all those obstacles in our path. You say, ChinEke, for those of us who are suffering today, because we know there are people who are ill, there are people who have family members who are ill, there are people whose family members are on the precipice of losing their lives. We ask you to put either your comforting hands around them or your healing hands around them. If they have not passed on, heal them, please, so that they will remain with us. But if they passed on, please send them to glory. If they have not made it to the ripe old age of 80, ChinEke, we say, please, their next life will be even better than what they saw today. Say, ChinEke, Biko kelendi chianye, nola arebunda ancestors already. Remind them that we are going to continue to call their names. We are honored that they existed, and because of them, we are. So they are a blessing, and wherever they are, we are hoping that they are in their lives, their spirits are being enriched in your presence. Somebody say, "He say." As we pour libations today, we ask you to touch us from our feet all the way to our head. Touch our toes, touch our feet, our legs, our knees, our stomachs, our bodies, our eyes, our noses, our ears, everything. Keep us healthy to the fullest ability so that we can continue to do your will. Say, in good health, he say. Yagaze, he say. Ancestors, ChinEke, the ancestors in the east, south, west, north, and south, west and south, we know where you are. If I haven't called out any of the directions, it's not a conscious omission, but we know where our ancestors are, and wherever they are, we call upon them today. We call upon them and we call their names. And for those of you who know the names of your ancestors who have made it to age 80, this is a good time to call their names. Keukonyoha. Ugonwaboso. Nohonyoha. Obimosa. Mary Bethune McLeod. Rosa Parks. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Mbono Jike. Oh, wherever you are, call the names of your ancestors. I don't know who they are. You know who they are. So call their names. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge them. Odrani mano toto. You say. Odrani mano kiri. You say. Odrani ma ubo blind. Let every day of our lives be light. Let everything that we turn into gold. with the help of ChinEke and all of the ancestors, we know that whatever we set our minds on, we are going to achieve it. You say, the ancestors, subscribe for the ancestors, or make noise however you can in acknowledgement of who they are. Thank you. Yagazie. Yes, and it is my pleasure to bring in Dibias. Oh, yes, a cow.
Ekpere ka ọ dị ike.
Onye eze ka
anọ m ya nnọọ ndị ichie anụla ekpere.
Anụla ya.
Oche ejiri anwụrụ ọkụ o ruru igwe.
Ọnwachi bụrụ ọkwa ahụmama bụ ife ahara afụ ọkparịghị akpa anyị.
Ọgbataghị ya n'afọ n'ụbọchị.
Anyị bụ nnụnụ adịghị efe akụ isi osisi na anụ.
Mbanụ. Ikuku ọ dị aga n'ụzọ.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Welcome.
I'll tell you something. This is why I like. That's why I like Chiism, Godian religion. What I like about it is it's so free. You're just so free. There are no restrictions. The world is your playground, you know, and ChinEke supports that. So it's up to you what you want to do in your life, you know. If you're going to be celebrating it, or you're going to have to figure out who's going to give you permission to do what, you know. Some of us are so consumed with religion that we don't know. Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we do this? Can we do that? Yes, you can, as long as you're not out there killing someone. You know what I'm saying? Or stealing from someone. The world is your playground. Enjoy it. ChinEke gives you the right to be. So just be. Stop trying to validate yourself through these lenses of somebody else. So anyway, welcome. Uno Kano. We have a very interesting show today. And annual for envy. Envy is practically the worst human emotion. The worst human emotion. You know, it's when we are not happy with ourselves. We're not happy with where we are, but we resent what other people have achieved, their possessions. Maybe we consider them lucky and we're not. Or maybe some individuals express things in ways that we can't seem to be able to do. Then we develop, as Igbo people say, anyonfo. That is emotion when you consider spirituality. Spirituality, you're supposed to be kind, you're supposed to be loving and all that. To have that emotion consume you doesn't make you a spiritual person. I don't care how many times you go to church. I don't care how long you sit in church. I don't care how much you preach about God. If you are envious, it will eat you up, and you can never be a happy soul. You can never be happy when you are consumed by someone else's success. And we do that. This is something that has to be talked about. And Black folks, I'm sorry, we are too possessed with anyofo. If we see one of us trying to make it, instead of us supporting, now that's a caveat. There are some individuals that will support you come hell or high waters. But there are some individuals that will not. Just the fact that you're making it, or that you have the audacity to speak of something that you believe in, and they can't do the same thing, they get jealous. See, when you don't have the quality someone else has, or you haven't done as well as they have done, or they can do certain things and you're not able to do it, they have things that you want and you lack it, that's envy. Anyofo. And you know, Igbo people aptly call it anyofo. Your eyes are hurting. You see something that you can't achieve and you just like your eyes hurt just to see it. Anyofo. That is a killer. It's a killer in organizations. You see one a staff who's working very hard trying to climb the ladder. you discourage them, you call them names, you assume that they're climbing the ladder because of something you think they're doing with the boss. You know what I'm saying. It is a painful thing for a lot of us to see how well other people are doing. You know, a little envy is a part of our lives. I'm not going to say that there's any one person that doesn't have envy. Okay, but it depends on what kind of envy you have. When you are envious because somebody has something that you think that you have the right to have and they don't have a right to have it, that's bad envy. It's the potent envy. And very honestly, it causes you to be very sad, unhappy, moody, because you're so consumed with what other people have and you don't have. Even some research have found that envy is crippling. It's crippling. How you deal with your envy goes a long way to ensure that you're a happy person. Somebody has a new house, you can't stand them. Then you have to call around and talk about them. Somebody started a new job. Who do they think they are? Do you know that sometimes when somebody falls who's rich, some of us get excited? Good for him or good for her. He has no right having all that money anyway. Where did he get it? Where did she get it? And you would not help. Because at that moment, that person, although that person is in need at that moment, that person has more than you have. So instead of helping that person, you choose to ignore them, castigate them, or let them stew in their misfortune. So there are two kinds of envy that we need to talk about. And you need to ask yourself, which kind of envy do I have? Because I'm going to be honest, we all have envy, but it all depends on what kind of envy that we have. There's envy that is destructive, that is so mean-spirited, that you will do anything to reduce the source of your envy by bringing them down, by making sure that they don't continue to be successful. Anything you can do, either you talk about them or you sabotage them, whatever, by any means necessary. That is, sure, you can call it wickedness, so to speak. That's the form of envy that's very destructive. And you have to ask yourself, which one am I? Which one do I have? Am I willing to hate somebody because of their achievement? Am I willing to undermine somebody because of their achievement? Am I willing to end my own life to take someone out? You know, when somebody goes out and sees a rich person or something and just shoots them and kills them or something like that, you know you're going to get in trouble. But the point of the matter is that that source of your envy is out of your way, and that's satisfactory for you. What kind of envy do you have? I don't forget, which one? Which one is it? So don't make me mistake and think that someone else is an envious person. You need to ask yourself, because you're not a spiritual person. It kills your spirit to hold on to envy against somebody else because of what they have or what they're achieving. You know, sometimes we even have a tendency to just not support. I don't want to support anymore. I got my own thing. I got to do my own thing. That's part of envy. It's okay to do your own thing if your own thing doesn't disrupt something that someone else is doing. That you're working with someone, but then you all of a sudden the person is doing well and you don't want to be a part of it. Why should I make him or her rich? I got my own thing. It's okay to have your own thing, but just make sure that you don't have the kind of envy that because you want to do your own thing, that you don't undermine someone else's efforts. Then you have the benign, they call it benign. That one is not considered anyofu. As a matter of fact, there's a kind of envy that's healthy. if that envy allows you to go beyond your condition, to pull yourself out of the valley, to wonder, how did this person make it? How can I make it? Even ask that person, how did you get to where you are? How can I get there? How can I do it? And you actually do what you have to do to achieve what that person has achieved, but not at the expense of that person, not by doing negative things that will impact that individual negatively. So there are two kinds. So if you want to emulate somebody, that's a positive envy. If you want to do better for yourself, that's a positive envy. If you have somebody that you really like, you know, this person is so good at what they do, I kind of want to be like that person. That's a positive envy. It's not envy that's destructive. As a matter of fact, it's envy that builds. So you got to ask yourself, as a spiritual human being, which envy do I have? What is my emotion as it relates to envy? Do I want to hurt somebody because I'm envious? That's the bad one. And there are plenty of people who are like that. Many of you have met such people, I dare say. So, then we're going to talk about it. What kind of envy do you have? And if you find that you find yourself that the energy you have is destructive, what can you do about it? How can you move from a negative envy to a positive envy? Two things that you can do to start with. Number one, admit it. Admit that you're envious of a particular person, that you're envious. That person you say negative things about. The person who started with you, they were quite probably in the valley with you, but they climbed up. Admit it. That's where you start. Admit it. If you have a negative envy, admit that you have it, because you can't start healing. You can't start getting away from it if you don't admit it. When we don't admit it, that's when we talk about, this person thinks that this. We're not admitting it. But if you admit it, then you can start cautioning your tongue. You can start cautioning your actions, because you realize that indeed you are envious of this person. Not because you want to be like them, but because you're mad that they have what they have. Because they've succeeded and you have not succeeded. Admit it. Then once you've admitted it, the next thing is to say to yourself, either I want to be like this person, or I have to find something that I can do, some power, some strength, some energy, some talent within me that will help me rise, so I don't have to be envious. You may not be a doctor. That's okay. Hating a doctor when you know you can't be a doctor is foolishness. Admit that to yourself. If somebody is a successful attorney, you're not going to be an attorney. So what are you upset about? Why are you mad at them? Or engineer, or an actor, or whatever. Never be upset with somebody for achieving what you know yourself you can, because that is not where your talent lies. So now if you can just admit it, now you start looking at yourself, okay, I admire the fact that this person has made it, but what can I do myself to make it? Either I ask them how they made it, or I find my own talent, I find my own path. But if you focus on hating people or being envious of people for what they have achieved, you will always be spiritually living in lack. You always be what is the word? You will never succeed anyway. You will not succeed, and you will be impoverished mentally and spiritually. So let me give my co-hosts the opportunity to share their thoughts on this matter.
Yeah, that's a good topic, and I think it's one that haunts us from the day we realized who we are as a person. You know, It's part of your growing trait, so to speak. When you start noticing things around you, and you start noticing those that have and those that don't have, and you start comparing it to what you have and what you don't have, then all of a sudden, the idea of envy, starts to percolate and becomes part of your existence, whether you like it or not. I think we all have a little bit of envy, healthy or unhealthy. All people have that. But I kind of want to draw a distinction between three different behavioral principles here, as far as our emotions is concerned. One is envy. The other one is jealousy. And the other one is admiration, right? I know that there's a distinction in terms of good envy, positive envy and negative envy and all of that. But I like to break it down into something that is a little bit more succinct and more definite, something that you could actually really truly define, so that you could glean the differences between these two, state of being or frame of mind. Jealousy, the way I understand it, is driven by self-esteem, a poor self-esteem or low self-image. That's the definition of it. While envy itself is a painful or resentful awareness, right, of an advantage enjoyed by somebody else, with a desire to possess the same advantage, where you are desiring to have the same advantage that that person has. That's envy. Again, the important definition here is painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another person, and your desire to possess the same advantage. That's what envy is. So if you go with envy in terms of its definition, there's really nothing good about it. Nothing good at all, right? Then jealousy deals with self-low esteem or a poor self-image, that somehow you're looking at somebody else based on their performance or their talent or what it is that they're doing, where somehow you feel like they're after what it is that that you have, right? There's a difference between jealousy and envy, but they seem to work hand in hand. I mean, many people consider envy and jealousy synonymous, but they really ain't. They're actually distinct in terms of meaning. Envy is a painful feeling of wanting what someone else has, like attributes of possession. And if you're jealous, then you feel threatened, protective, or whatever it is that you have, and you're fearful that the other person's performance may put them in the position or situation to get what you have. So that's the distinction between the two, envy and jealousy. And in its etymology, neither one of them is good. However, you can apply this same emotional enthusiasm in terms of somebody's performance based on admiration. I admire Dibias so very much for her work ethic, her intelligence. I always call her a wordsmith, and her dedication to her calling, to our calling. Come rain or shine, she's going to do what it is that she set out to do. She never feels that there's a situation that she cannot overcome. I always tell her, just build it, they will come. Just get it started, get it done. They will come. Don't worry about who's coming and who's not. She's a great listener. She's a good listener. She's very smart, very intelligent, and boy, is she a wordsmith. I mean, when you read some of her writings, if you're not in control of your, mental state or your emotions, two things happen to you. You either become envious and jealous, or you do what I do. You admire her work, and you always feel like, I always feel like personally, I can always learn something from her. So by admiring her, my admiration for her now becomes a blessing, because I'm able to see the positive things that she's doing and figure out how I could adopt some of those things, include them in my life, so that I could be better. I may not be as good as she is, but I could at least be a better person and work towards being the best me that I can be. So I personally don't glean anything positive from envy or jealousy, even though you could break it down into different or distinct forms, positive and negative. But if you follow the actual definition of what envy is painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another with a desire to possess that same advantage, which can cause you to do some very, very terrible things. Either undermine the person that you envy, maybe plot their demise, their downfall, start to struggle between the difference, struggle with the difference between envy and jealousy. Both of them very bad and can spell your doom. So you find that if you are a very envious person or a jealous person, you end up doing two things: either hurting the person that your jealousy or your envious rage is directed at, or you end up undermining your own self and causing yourself harm. There is nothing positive that ever comes out of being envious or jealous of somebody, other than either undermine yourself or undermine them, which makes you spiritually bankrupt. It is better for you to practice admiration. Give credit where credit is due. It doesn't hurt you to do that. Don't spend your time trying to discredit somebody just because you're envious or you're jealous. It's always going to work against you, one way or another. Because instead of you spending time trying to build yourself up, instead of you spending time trying to glean some positive aura from what it is that the person who is performing at a very high level, whatever it is that they're doing to get to that level where they're able to get there and then maintain it, you're spending your time doing underhanded things, things that never add to your growth, things that close your mind from, bringing into your fold some positive aspects of the person who you're envious. You understand what I'm saying? So you're better practicing admiration. It's better for you to ask yourself, what is it that they're doing that has gotten them to this place? And how can I be able to do the same thing that they're doing? Admiring somebody also helps you to cultivate a relationship with the person that you admire. And by cultivating a positive relationship, some of their goodies rubs off on you. And you're a much happier person. And it's to your advantage to say, I'm in good terms with this performer, with this great person. It's an advantage for me to say, not just because Dibias is my sister, but for me to say I'm associated with what it is that she does that makes her such a superstar. Because when people see me and see her, they're not concerned about if I'm her brother or if she's my sister. They're concerned about performance. What is it about us that is unique? What is it about us, right, that is responsible for the level of performance, the gall, the courage, the guts to step out in front of the world and say, we are who we are by the grace of Almighty ChinEke, and if you don't like it, let the door hit you. You could say, you talk about the rest all you want to. So it's very important that we practice admiration as opposed to being envious and trying to figure out what part of the envy is positive and what part is not. Because there is positive envy, there is negative envy. But to be able to focus on gleaning benefits from the person that this emotion is directed toward, it is better that you practice admiration. Because if you do, you're more likely to build a better you as opposed to being envious.
Excellent distinction. But I want to re-emphasize that we should be aware that envy is part of human emotion.
Yeah.
Envy is part of human emotion. You can't wish it away. It's there. All right. Yes, so, but for you to even start admiring someone, you've got to admit to yourself that, yes, I am envious. But what kind of envy? That what you're saying is good. If I find out, if I realize, that I'm envious of someone, if I can just admit it, if I can admit it, then I can start admiring. But if I don't admit it, that thing is in me. Do you understand? It's working me, but I'm not admitting it. So I'll have difficulty admiring anyone if I don't admit to myself that I got some challenges. We need to be self-reflective. Many people, and the reason why the world is the way it is actually is envy. It's part of what our personalities. Many of us have envious personalities. We just can't seem to get it together. So we want
racial envy.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So everything you're saying is good, but we must do self-reflection, because I'm telling you, people go out here, and why you think that somebody will shoot a star? Why you think? Is it because they're admiring them? No, it's because they're envious.
Absolutely.
They're envious of that success. So it's so important, in addition to what you've said, which is very, very true, it's better that we admire people. But you got to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what kind of human being am I? Who am I? True. Because some of us do some stuff and we don't even understand why we do it. Why is it that I don't want to be with this person? Why is it that, oh God, we say, oh, I can't stand her. Oh, I can't stand him. Why can't you stand her or him? Why? Is it envy? What is it? Before I can start admiring you, I need to admit to myself, girl, you got an issue. Deal with that.
Yep.
So if you can reflect and find out what kind of human being you are, then you can now start saying, okay, well, I don't want to be this kind of person. Let my envy not be destructive. Let me not destroy this person or speak ill of another person because of my challenges. So if you can reflect, it's like man and wife, right? The man or the woman may see the fault is always his, or it's always hers. Why can't he be like this? Why can't she be like this? To some degree, you're envious that person has a quality that you don't have. Maybe they're calmer, they're kinder, they speak, nicer. You can't stand it. So you are mad at them for nothing. So you got to check yourself, check your mind and see where you are, so that you are not, caught up with demeaning other people. And in fact, demeaning yourself. And before we go to Dr. Dibias, one of the problems with being envious is that the very person that you may be envious, that you may envy, may turn around and be the very person that may pull you up. If you give them a chance. You're so wrapped up in your foolishness that you don't even see that this person could well take me out of the valley. Go ahead. You did very, very good points. Thank you. All right. Dibias.
Yeah, thanks for today's topic. I enjoyed all the analysis so far, and it's a very deep one. Let me just add my own little perspective to the discussion so far. For me, what you call envy is a manifestation of lack of mental balance, lack of self-esteem, like Dibias said. And like Dibias said, it derives from the lack of the ability to balance one's emotion rationally. And
Yes.
in Igbo, that would mean that the individual is unable to attain balance, practice what you call a honobu, because it's a way of balancing oneself, like we discussed one time in this program. And
Yes.
so envy is a full manifestation of emotions, and it derives from anxiety, nchebu. When you are, and in life we can avoid anxiety, but we can tame our anxieties, but we will be unable to tame our anxieties when we are greedy. That is why the word envy, anyofo or ufuanya, it's the word ufo means bitterness. And so he said the bitterness reflects in the eye, but the bitterness of the eye derives from ufobi, bitterness of the heart. And so it is when the individual has gotten to the negative side of emotion, because emotion, human life is emotional. And
Yes,
if there is positive envy, that means there's positive emotion. That I like somebody, I love somebody, like just Dibias talks about is admiration. Admiration is also emotion, but it's an emotion that has been tamed by reason towards positive energy. So
yes.
that's what it is. And when the individual is unable to attain self-balance and is unable to practice ofonogu, the individual gets to the vile level of emotions where he becomes bitter,
Yeah.
obi. Then the bitterness of the heart now manifests as bitterness that reflects in the eye. And you see that the person, it says, even when there's like Okedibe just said, the person you are envying might be the one to bail you out of your circumstance.
Yes.
But you see that person say, over their dead body, not my own dead body. He said, over their dead body.
Yeah.
Because I would never get to the extreme of saying over my dead body, because sometimes you discover that it is your own little child in the house that will help you.
Yeah.
You may be surprised at the money that you are giving to your children to go to school. Your last child is one of okay, since I eat at home, I do everything at home, so she has a piggy bank, and then she's saving the money, and then it comes to a situation where there's huge investment and there's no money to eat in the house. The little child just goes there and says, "Mommy, Daddy, I've been saving money," and you'll be surprised. She brings one of the piggy banks out of several she has been saving, and you break it and you find awesome money inside. And if you have that ego, a terrible ego, that is only you that must help your children. Your children cannot help you. It's only you, the man, that can help yourself. Your wife cannot help you. Some of us males have that kind of ego. So that negative ego leads you to extreme bitterness, whereby you now have to become to delude in self-pride. Pride that only you must be the shining star in the night or the only sun out there in the day. By the time you drive yourself to the extreme, you'll be unable to come to the middle to strike a balance, because what you call annual for envy is the lack of the ability to practice virtue. And virtue is the ability to draw a mean within extremes. And that's what the human life is always. And when we are unable to draw a mean within the extremes, we get to the extreme negative end where we become utterly bitter. And all will manifest is what the Igbo will call arere and nchebu and a Mary, where you begin to think everything the world is about you. At that point, you are only concerned about achieving that little thing that greed drives you into, and you do not know when you commit a heinous crime. That's my little take in that. They will know.
Excellent.
Thank you. I love
Excellent.
it. I love it.
Excellent. Excellent. That is well
I love
said.
it. Well said. Well said. I was watching a video. I tried to download it so I can share it. It was in Igbo, and this gentleman was talking about the fact that the reason why many, particularly us in Africa, the reason why we don't move forward is because we have so many people holding us around our waist, pulling us back because of envy, just pulling you back. You have a man like Pitobi. Come on, people. How do your own people fight against you? They just couldn't bring themselves to see you
Yenge.
as president.
Envy.
Envy. They couldn't see this Igbo man, their brother, being at the highest level of leadership. They just couldn't bring themselves.
Not only that, I'm not taking what you're saying. I'm just adding to what you're saying. You continue what you're saying. All I'm saying is they don't see themselves in him. He has risen to a level, right, of what do you call it? He has risen to this spiritual level of accountability that they themselves feel inadequate because they can't seem to be their brother's keeper, to get to the level where he has gotten to mentally, where his appeal is almost spiritual.
Yes, and they've gotten to where they've gotten through, corruption.
Yes.
Not through hard work, not through high moral quality. They have no interest in peace and love. They have none of that. So when you see somebody that is displaying that, exemplifying that, you lose your mind.
Yes.
You lose all aspects of sanity. And what has that created? Is it Niger? Niger has something going on right now. Niger has decided that, before there was the envy, that, oh, well, these people have this and these people have that, but they did a self-assessment to find out that those people who have all that stuff, they didn't earn it. So it's no longer envy. Now we have to reassess how we feel about these people. When you go after them at that level, it is not envy now. It is you now assessing where you belong, what you think about these people who are doing these things. I don't know if you guys saw on the internet the Niger financial minister crying. Did you see that?
My wife told me that this morning.
I think he's supposed to be executed today.
They
told him that the finance minister of Niger Republic, because there was a coup, and they're rounding up all of those ministers and all of that. You have to account. We're not sitting back and watching anymore. You have to account for every penny you spent. Otherwise, you have 48 hours and you will be shot. So he's on television. He couldn't even talk. He's just crying. I'm saying, what are you crying for? You probably took all of that stuff out of envy because this other person's got that and you to have it too. This other person is driving a Mercedes. I gotta have it too. And that stuff had made you do the wrong things. Now, people who are reassessing their position, I said, okay, how did you get that? How do you make such little money and drive that kind of car? Bribery, corruption. Now Niger is being run by the military, and they have told the world, we don't need you. Don't come here and tell us what to do. These folks have to go. So today, I think he was going to face a firing squad if he does not produce accounting for the monies that he has spent. Remember, when you talk about envy can make you do a whole bunch of stuff. He knows he doesn't have that kind of money. He had to go and steal because Joe Blow over there's got this, so I got to have it too, by any means necessary. If he was in control of himself, he would live according to his means, not try to keep up with the Joneses of the political world. And here he is. I don't know. They may have killed him today. I don't know. I hope not.
Well, they're threatening the government, France, the United States, and all ECOWAS countries in Africa. They're giving Niger, the coup plotters, 1 week to cede power back to that president, or they're coming in there and they're going to take him out.
Okay. So
that's what's going on right now.
So then let me ask, how does that solve the problem of
it doesn't
corruption?
Because nobody's thank you. That's exactly the question. It's not about what the people are going through. It's about this fantasy that Niger has a legitimate government, but the minister of finance came from that legitimate government that is putting all the money in their pocket. Corruption is rampant. They have $554 million that are set aside for education. Set aside by France. For education in Niger Republic. But out of that $554 million that has been set aside for education, I guarantee you at least 450 million of it or more is going to be going to the pockets of government officials, the president and maybe the minister of education and whoever else is supposed to be the person that oversees the allocation of those resources into the educational system in Niger. So nobody is asking why this coup took place. This is the same thing that needs to be happening in African countries. You cannot hold the people at gunpoint that don't want to be held. The idea of having democratic elections and things are going to go well and then it's going to be kumbaya. Look at Nigeria and Peter Obi. We had an election and it was stolen because of corruption. Buhari just looted, pillaged the country, and now we have this Tinubu guy, overseeing the government of Nigeria with the judiciary in their pocket. If there's no judicial accountability, corruption is going to continue to fester. All these ECOWAS countries that are against what happened in Niger Republic is made up of corrupt leaders. I can almost guarantee you that Kagame of Rwanda is not part of this ECOWAS juntas that are trying to get rid of the military, the coup plotters in Niger. Every corrupt African country, maybe except for Senegal, Rwanda, Namibia, every sub-Saharan African country needs some military takeover, provided that those in the military are interested in mediating corruption in the country. Don't just take over and then become Idi Amin. Don't just take over and then become, one of these crazy people like Buhari that used to be in the military and ruled Nigeria. Don't be one of those guys. Be a Rawlins. Be the guy from Burkina Faso. Can't remember what his name is now, but you know who I'm talking about. Thomas Sankara. Yeah. Be one of those people. Yeah, Rawlins, Thomas Sankara. Be one of those people. We in sub-Saharan Africa that have been under the gun, those of us in diaspora that would like to come back to Africa and help to build her. Those of us that feel lost in somebody else's land, finding it difficult to go back home and use our expertise to build Nigeria. Those of us that have children here that would like to get our children back home so that the next generation flourishes. Those of us that are interested in building a future for the next generation, because the next generation, the world belongs to them. And people of my generation and some of the people older than we are have never prepared Africa for these younger folks. It is their future. They have a right to be angry. They have a right to protest. And me, as one of their daddies, I'm protesting right along with them. There are some Thomas Sankaras and Rawlinses in Africa in the military that need to come in there and change a lot. We are not going to get there using Western-style democracy, because those people that are ruling us based on Western-style democracy in Nigeria are the same people that are opening up our borders and our resources to be pillaged by the West and by China. So I'm all for what's going on in Upper Volta, in Niger, provided that these coup plotters are the likes of Thomas Sankara. If they are not, then they need to get the heck out of there, because then they're just as bad as the people we have to go over from. So that's my feeling about it.
This is why when you have a community, a society where there's so many young people without opportunities, that's why you have a lot of crime.
Yeah.
Okay. They do develop envy. How do you admire people who steal from you? It's hard. It's hard. You can't admire them. Instead, what you do is you want, because they're not going to improve your lot, then you want to be like them by doing things that are illegal by any means necessary. See, envy is another way that the poor react, okay, to the subjugation to poverty. Because when you're envious, when you're consumed by that emotion and you're not assessing it, you do things even at your own cost, something that will cost you your life. I was watching a video of these two young men in Detroit. They're breaking into a house. They're breaking into a house. This modest, real cute little house. Evidently, the person who owns this house takes care of her property. Now, I don't know exactly why these young people went to the house, but obviously they are envious about what this family has. They want it because the family is at school and at work. So they go and they break the window. They hovered and neighbors are seeing them. One neighbor said, if you don't get out of there, I'll call the police. But did not call the police. The little guy said, this is my house. How's that going to be? How do you take his word that this is his house? Don't you know your neighbors? Don't you know that's your immediate neighbor? How do you not know that's not the homeowner? And they watched them break into the house. When they came out of that house, they broke the window. Finally, they kept going and coming back, and finally they broke it. And you saw that? And they looked to see, you saw that? They looked to see if the person who had challenged them earlier was watching. Well, she didn't say anything after that. For whatever reason, they finally broke in. And then when they got in there, he went and opened the side door. After he opened the side door, they called another gentleman who then came. If you saw the video, I felt so bad for the homeowner. They took the dishwasher. They took the washer and dryer. They took everything. They cleared it all. They just took everything. That's envy. You're just this is somebody you can't on your own get those kinds of things that they have. So you have to go and steal it. You have to go and diminish that person now who has to, if they don't have insurance, which I'm sure they probably don't in the Detroit area, hopefully they do, but if they don't have insurance, do you know what it means to buy a brand new dishwasher, washer and dryer?
I mean, these are some big items. Items.
All the big items out of the house, and none of the neighbors said anything. None of the neighbors.
I don't want to get involved. That's America. I don't want to get involved. It's none of my business. I don't want to get involved, so they don't come after you.
They didn't. They didn't get involved. So this person has lost all that. I'm going to take a moment and just play a little music for us. Ekele, and we will be right back.
Put
you who don't know what that song is saying, it's just saying that everywhere is sacred. Everywhere is sacred. There is no particular place that ChinEke has made an exception to the rule. Everywhere is sacred. There's no particular place that ChinEke came and built a home at the expense of other people. So let us praise ChinEke wherever we are. It doesn't matter. That's the lack of complexity, if you will, of Chiism. Right, UD? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
I had myself on mute because somebody was speaking in the background, so I didn't want it to get in here. No, it's the simplicity of our African, spirituality. Not just tears.
And I think, and you would agree, I think that with that kind of spirituality, you really don't, it doesn't make room for envy. It doesn't. You understand? Because you're told every day, Monachiso, I am one with the Creator. Now, if I'm one with the Creator, what room do I or time do I have to be envious? Unless I believe God is envious. If I believe that, then I can have that, make that emotion a powerful one. Monachiso, I walk with her. So what do you believe God to be? What do you believe ChinEke to be? When I look at all these politicians in the United States and some of the things that they say, I'm like, oh my God, you can't really believe in God. You can really believe, you can go to church and do all that stuff, but you can't believe in God the way you treat other human beings. The viciousness that some of us use against other people, we need to check ourselves and see, why is that the case?
I always says you have to be careful of what your conjecture of God is, because God is not the same for everybody. People think of God in different terms. They think of God's toleration, it varies from one culture to another. There are certain things that people in one culture validate God, ChinEke, with, that they think is acceptable to ChinEke. And there are things that those people think that is acceptable to ChinEke in other cultures, it's an abomination. My father always says, be careful of your conjecture of what God is, because even a thief gives thanks to ChinEke when he burgles successfully. A thief will go and steal, and if he doesn't get caught and he steals successfully, when he gets home, guess who he thanks? He thanks God. He thanks ChinEke for allowing him to steal without getting caught. You have people in different religions that justify killing other religious adherents of other religious philosophies, and they validate it in their holy books, like in Christianism, and to a certain extent Islam, depending on what school of Islamic studies that you come out of. You have this misunderstanding between Christianism and Islam, and people having this wrong conjecture that the Muslims consider Christians infidels. No, they don't. People don't understand the history of these two religions. They don't understand natural theology. Shoe sizes don't fit one shoe doesn't fit everybody. Different people attribute different strengths and stuff to ChinEke, and they vary from culture to culture. The only thing we pretty much have in common amongst most cultures that have a spiritual philosophy that deals with a higher spiritual being is the idea that there is a creator. That's the commonality. Another commonality is some of the religious tenets that is uniform across all religions, whether you believe in a higher spirit or not, whether you believe in a creator or not. One of those spiritual tenets is thou shalt not lie. It's not a Christian thing. It's not a Muslim thing. It's not a Catholic thing. It's not a Chinese thing. It's not a Buddhist, Hindu. Every human being automatically, as you're reared by your mother, that lying is wrong. In some cultures, in African culture, they say the first God you know is your mother. You learn a lot of stuff about the do's and don'ts of life from your mom and your dad to a certain extent, but more or less from your mother. Thou shalt not kill. There's no religion that says, oh, it's okay to kill. Killing is just like waking up in the morning and getting something to eat. Yeah, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But we kill, but we also preach, thou shalt not kill, but we end up doing it anyway, either through self-preservation or because of envy, jealousy, or just sheer wickedness. Thou shalt not commit adultery. There's no religion that says thou shalt commit adultery. It's not a Christian thing. Buddhist is not. There are certain religious tenets that are uniform across all cultural boundaries. All of it. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Nobody says it's okay for you to bear false witness. No religion says that. We have certain commonalities, but our conjecture of what God is varies from culture to culture. Some people believe that there's no way that you could get God's blessings unless you go through a middle person. And in Christianism, that middle person is who? Christ. Without an acknowledgement of Jesus Christ, you cannot be credited with acknowledgement of its creator, of God. In Islam, without an acknowledgement of Muhammad, Allah becomes non-existent. There is no Muslims that believe in Allah that doesn't believe that Muhammad is a prophet. Otherwise, you won't be a Muslim. Muslim religion is not based on Allah. Islam is based on Muhammad. Even though Mohammedanism and Islam are two different definitions. There are two different definitions. But the premise is the same. There is no Allah without Muhammad, and there is no salvation without Jesus Christ, and in some cases, the Holy Spirit. You have to acknowledge the existence of all three as one for you to have any chance of being saved. So our conjecture of God varies from religion to religion, from tribe to tribe, from one school of thought to the other. The one thing we do know is that the basic tenets of life is uniform across all cultures. And if we could just listen to those tenets and live it out, then perhaps we'll have a little peace in this world. I don't think it's ever going to be everlasting. I don't think we're designed that way, because we've never had a period in any human culture where there was ever everlasting peace. I just feel that certain things about our spiritual relationship is destined, is necessary to keep humanity functioning. Envy is not a good thing. It is painful when it's directed towards an individual. But guess what? If we believe that ChinEke created everything under the sun and in the universe, if that is our litmus test in terms of the power of God, then it's only rational to also believe that all the good and the negative under the sun has divine purpose. That's my 2 cents.
Dr. Dibias, your thoughts?
You see, I don't know this matter you raised about Africa. I don't know how to, if we keep talking about it, we won't finish till kingdom come. But there is this problem that us Africans have, and it's because I see that because we are not operating within our spirituality, like you already said. That's the problem of PhD. Pull him down, pull her down. If you see anyone doing well, just tie your hands around the waist of that individual and get the person drowned. And that's because maybe all of us are drowning in Africa. So our mentality is that of escape, trying to escape and trying to survive. And the mentality of a drowning people or any drowning person is just to grab at anything, and which is why it's always advised, if you want to rescue a drowning person, you go through the back. You approach the person through the back. If you go through the front, the person will, both the one who wants to rescue and the person to be rescued, both of them will drown. So we
Mhm.
have that problem, and it's a mental problem because we are like fish that are taken out of water. We're trying to survive, and when you are at the level of survival, you do not reason. You pay lip service to spirituality, because even those of us who are into African spirituality, quote and unquote, we are into it because of the benefits. We are not into it because we want to live a life of virtue. We are not into it because we want to search for knowledge. We are not into it because we want to search for self-discovery, to reinvent ourselves and to reinvent our environment. That's not why we are into it. We are into it for personal aggrandizement, personal gain, personal acquisition, acquire power, oppress people. That's what we understand by African spirituality these days. We are not into African spirituality because we want to understand the principles of African spirituality. We are into African spirituality in Algo, collect charms and amulets and use them to to hoodwink people psychologically, play, if possible, what you call mass psychology, reverse psychology on people, and cheat them out of their own earnings. That's why we are into what is we call African spirituality these days. So everything about us has gone negative. And so it is when we are into our spirituality for knowledge acquisition, self-discovery, reinventing ourselves so that we can reinvent our societies and reinvent our world and our environment, that will understand that society is built first on the principle of ugu, respect, reciprocity of respect. And respect begins from self-respect, self-esteem, understanding yourself in tandem with the society, and knowing that mutuality of friendship, of mutuality of fraternity, a fraternal relationship, solidarity, togetherness is what will lift us up. What the Tanzanian people will call Ujamaa, which in Nyerere made the cardinal point of his political theory and political organization.
Mhm.
So it is when we go into our spirituality, understand the principles of our African spirituality, that we come to understand of Onobu, which is the foundation of communalism. But the problem we have today is that we are dislodged from that spirituality, and a lot of us are going back into our African spirituality with the mindset of Christianity or Islam. Christianity and Islam, like Ochoa just said, is that of monism. And monism is, you must reduce the world to my pricing. Whatever does not belong to my world does not exist. So you reduce, monism leads to reductionism. And when you want to reduce everybody to your level, then absolutism sets in, rigidity sets in, the backwardness sets in. That is the stage that us Africans find ourselves. And it's very pathetic. It's pathetic. And I think the solution is that we just keep talking what we are talking, and we keep doing what we are doing. Then more than talking and doing, we should do more. Just self-example. That I believe that each one of us on this program, we are exemplary of what we say, because it is by our attitude that people will look and say, why is so person different? It's okay because he's a cheist, because he's practicing African spirituality. I think that is the way to go. I think by the time uh, we persist on this track and this trajectory, and cheesing begins to grow, and for the nucleus will begin to gather monster and grow, we will become the light that will reflect the world. That's my little take. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that.
Well said.
Now I want to ask you, you or Dibia Chidozie and Yudi, any one of you can take that. Does in African spirituality, how do we spiritually deal with having a grudge? Because envy can lead to grudges. What does African spirituality tell us about having a grudge against somebody else?
It boils down to what Chidozie had, Dr. Dibias had talked about earlier. Ofonogu, Jirofo, Jirogu. Part of actually the core of our belief in Chiism is Biri Kambiri, and Biri Kambiri involves a lot of stuff. Biri Kambiri is just not, live and let live of, how do you say, preserve life here so that life is preserved over here. Live and let live is do you with moral responsibility. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Accord me the same respect that you want me to accord to you. Biri Kambiri in all areas of human endeavor. And here's the funny thing. For most religions, that belief system is also, how do you say, central to the core of the spirituality. Boiling down to do unto others as you love others to do unto you. I don't think there's any religion in the world that doesn't have that same belief system. It is how you go about your religiosity. That's where the difference comes in. Biri Kambiri is how you mitigate envy. You have a right to be who you are with moral responsibility, particularly when Ikenga is at the central core of your endeavors. Because, back in ancient Africa, you're not just, a lot of people are involved in a lot of different ways of making a living based on where they fit in. Either where they fit in or in Nkporo, when you go through rites of passage, which was usually like 10 years, when you leave your home. Mm-hmm. And at 7 years, you leave your home, and for the next 7 years, you don't see your parents, you don't see anybody. And it is in this schooling system, in this Ipwa that you learn the different skills and craft based on your talent. And the Dibias and everybody else involved in your education is able to identify your gift and push you towards that area of human endeavor. So that when you come out, you graduate with your Ikenga at the forefront, leading you to the hallmarks of your destiny. Akarakage. So to mitigate envy, really, there has to be a spiritual component that has to be instilled into you as an adult. It has to be part of your makeup and part of your graduation as an adult to internalize the spiritual belief system of Biri Kambiri. Live and let live. It has to be part of your spiritual makeup. It's not mitigated midstream, because when you mitigate it midstream, Ofonogu comes in. And the dictates of Ofonogu is, if somebody lets you know or informs you that certain activities is wrong or certain behavior is wrong, but you insisting on doing it, whatever happens to you, whoever did it to you for disobeying this moral law is not accountable. That's Ofonogu. Njiofo Jirogu. If you notice in the village in Ukporo, they tie omu near the yam farms. They tie it. That omu is a warning. that tells you you cannot come in here and take yam. Now, if you come in here and take yam and somebody there cuts you with a knife, they're not accountable because you were warned.
Yeah.
That's how Ofunogu is implemented in Nkoro. Spiritually, it is truth and justice. That's it. So envy is mitigated to two things. One is Ofunogu, the other one is Birika Mbiri, and it's part of your spiritual makeup when going through rites of passage for every child, man or woman. That's it. That's how it's mitigated. Now, anything that now happens to you, like, being envious and all that stuff, you'll be excoriated by the community, by your age group, and it's over for you. Because your responsibility is not just to the community itself, but to that age grade that makes sure that your conduct is incorruptible so that you don't bring shame to your age group. They will be the ones to discipline you. And believe me, when they get through disciplining you, you'll never be envious of anybody anymore. So in Nkoro there, in Chiism, your age group, socioeconomic system of Africa, they are the ones that would discipline you, because envy should never be a part of your conduct. It cannot be part of your conduct because you are not socialized into it.
And Iche, thank you so much for that. I want to add to this fact when you talk about our spirituality and how we deal with envy. For the most part, to prevent envy, there are some practices that the people put in place to encourage those who don't have not to be envious of those who have, but also establishes a sense of responsibility for those who are wealthy. See, you cannot be okay. If you look at here in the United States, look at in Africa, they are people who have so much. I pay taxes, big time taxes, but you have billionaires who have in 2 years not even paid $760 in taxes. Society also has a way of creating the envy mindset.
Yeah.
Because they make it so that some people are so privileged, like it's their world. The rest of us are chipmunks trying to get a nut. We don't even count. So you create that anger, envy in people who don't have, and they may even try to have, they can't, because of the way the system is set up. But back then, spiritually, we say, community. Communal means that my wealth lies in my community.
Not the individual. Exactly.
Not the individual, because a hungry man will do anything to feed his family or her family.
As a matter of fact, I just want
matter. Just wait. If it doesn't even matter if you have high moral quality. When you have to feed your family, you have to do whatever is necessary. If all else fails. So, Yudi, let me just finish, please.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that the spirituality of the people acknowledged that fact that if everybody's struggling while I have a lot, I am actually causing possibly my own demise. That's why they tie yams to trees. The farmer ties yams around his tree or vegetables or something to tell the poor gentleman, you don't have to steal. Just take. This is for you. You don't have to steal. You don't have to disrupt my farm. You don't have to do none of that. So those who are wealthy from those cultures, unfortunately, we don't practice that anymore. But Akon Dirubani is our spiritual culture. My wealth lies in my community. If my community is doing well, then I'm doing well. Now, if you look at what's going on in Nigeria, I keep going to Nigeria because I'm Nigerian. The people are getting so hungry because of what has been done by this new government. You can't get to work. And most everybody is a business person. They sell. They're marketers. They can't get to the market. They don't have enough money to buy what they need to sell. People don't have enough money to buy what is for sale. So, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that the hungry will just sit and wring their hands and pray? Sooner or later, you pay the price for ignoring those who don't have. So instead of creating an atmosphere, an environment where envy festers, we need to make it so that those who don't have an opportunity. And even if you don't have it right now, we can create an opportunity for you to achieve. You had your hands.
Yeah, I was just trying to say something real briefly. I kind of omitted it, and you brought it up, so I just want to say it. On the month in the month of Agunsi, right? The 28th, the last day of Agunsi is something called the Nkwanta Afo. And on this day, people take liberty where you could go to anybody's farm and get whatever it is that you need and want.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly those people that have surpluses. They open up their farm. They open up their yam, what do you call that stuff? Where they put, harvested yams? I forgot the name of it. But they open it up, and anybody can come in there and get whatever it is that you are liking, what you need, whether it's corn, whether it's yam, whether it's vegetable, whatever it is, it is open for everybody. As long as you're not using it to trade. You go in, get whatever it is you want from somebody's farm. You're not accused of stealing or anything like that. So like you said, like we were saying, we have spiritual balances put in place to mitigate this feeling of envy, where you create an atmosphere where everybody feels that they can attain and achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve, just like the next guy. You're never hindered in your ability. The only thing that really stops you from doing what it is you want to do back in Nkoro there is your physical ability to do it. Beyond your physical ability to do certain things, everybody has the same avenue to aspire to whatever it is that they want to do without any roadblocks. It's really up to the individual to get there, because everybody has that equal opportunity to do it. So I just want to kind of, bring that up real quickly.
Yes. How about you, Dibias?
Yeah. As you were both talking, it reminded me of those things that used to happen in the village those days. And I think I remember my mother told me during the war, a particular young lady who was an orphan, she was so hungry that she had to go to somebody's backyard and started taking just the quantity of akidi that she needed to make a meal. Then the owner of the compound came and said, "Oh, mom, my child, you are hungry. Oh, you should have walked up to me. Oh, yeah, even though it's war situation, you are my child." So she went and took more of akidi that would last, and some other foodstuff that would last the girl for at least a week, and gave it to her. Then I also do know that when we followed our mom to the bushes those days to harvest things like firewood, fruits to cook, or fruits to eat or keep, we will, when we get to some level, she will say, you can't harvest everything now. If you harvest everything, what about others? Then I used to wonder, why are you concerned about others? I said, no, the world is not meant for a single individual. When you go to the forest, you harvest. You don't take everything in a place. Just take what you want, go to another place, take, don't leave, always leave something for some other people. Same thing with the fruits. Say you don't harvest everything in a particular tree. Just take some, go to another tree, take some, so that some passers-by can also take some. Those who are hungry can take some.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
that's also part of that's part also part of the issue of sacrifice. People wonder, why do you find bunches of fruits, cooked food,
Mm-hmm.
uncooked food at village junctions? Well, it was a way, it's a way of charity, because it's a way of saying, okay, you are eating so much, there's those who are not eating, so please give them some.
Mm-hmm.
And today, who are those at the crossroads? Like we talked about the crossroads on this one of the series of this program. Those are the crossroads. Those who are in the mental homes, those who have no money to feed themselves, those who are suffering from one ailment or the other. Go sow your seeds to those people, like you are doing, taking care of those children in Africa, parts of Africa where there's a squalor of poverty, indigence. And you are trying to gather people around. Let's take care of people. Those are people at crossroads, and any one of us can be at the crossroads anytime. And so
Yes.
it's the principle list of Onogu, our Biri Kambiri,
Mm-hmm.
onye gburu ibe ya, ndụ azụ mmiri ma mmiri azụ anwụla. It's built on the principle, to speak it in the big English that we like to speak in philosophy, the principle of interfusion, interdependence, complementarity,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
interpenetrability, which is that
Mm-hmm.
we share, we empathize, we care, and when we share, we are not only sharing the surpluses or the profits or benefits, we are sharing both the pains and the sorrows and the joys and the plenty. And so that's why we also have the adage, ọkọ ọkọ nwe ewu ya gbapụrụ ukwu osisi, ya kọọ nwa mmadụ ọ gbapụrụ mmadụ ibe ya. So it is in our culture, our spirituality, to teach people, don't keep your pains to yourselves alone, to yourself alone. You are not accountable. Yes, self accountability, self responsibility is useless without societal accountability, societal responsibility. So don't keep your pain to yourself alone. Move or walk to your fellow human being and share your sorrow, share your pain. And when you have plenty, you share. So we share
Yes.
both, we share, empathize, we care, we show love by sharing, both by being responsible, by being accountable, and we share both the pains, the surpluses, the benefits, and the sorrows. That's how we go about it. So this way, people's people's greed are tempered, and this way we learn the
Yes.
principle of uwezoke, meaning that nothing in the
Yes.
world
Yeah.
goes round. The
Mm-hmm.
creator of the universe and the world did it in such a way that there are deserts and there are places where is flowing plenty. Then
Mm-hmm.
there's places that are experiencing famine. Meanwhile, some other people are experiencing plenty. And so it is our duty as human beings to create a balance in the midst of these extremes. So then that's what the issue of virtue is all about. Biri Kambiri of Onogu, creating balance in the midst
Yes.
of the extremes in the world. That's my little take. Ndewono.
Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. You know what? When you think about the two DBS, even the structure, and I think it's so sad when people think about slavery, they're thinking about the fact that people were taken out of Africa and taken to the New World, and of course, slavery was disastrous for humanity. We know that. There's no way to describe that. But one of the most fundamental things that slavery took away and colonialism took away from us is our ability to hold our society, to practice those things that give us our morality. Colonialism did that.
Yeah.
Our moral compass was destroyed with religion coming there. And then the things that we held dear was just disrupted. Even to the point of today, I always look at people who say they're educated. And I look at them and say, you are educated and you believe these things? Whose education is it anyway? When I see a PhD who believes in fantasy, I say, what is the education? Where is the education? The fact that you're able to regurgitate someone else's thoughts, somebody's history, but not yours? Even in the age grade system of governance, like my dear friend here, Morris said, I am we, and we is me. In the age grade system of governance, that's it. Ubuntu. I am because you are you because of me. Without you, I'm nothing. The age grade, they don't look at who's rich in the age grade. They don't look at who's woman. They don't look at this is the age grade, and we walk together towards a purpose. Our lives are meaningful because we're interconnected. So we are going to solve our problems together, regardless of the wealth. So nobody a part of the age group is looking down on anybody, because if this age group succeeds, it's because we succeeded, not because I succeeded.
Yes.
That is one of the spiritual things that's broken.
Okay.
And then when our people were taken away, then there's that Ubuntu I am because that started getting killed. Then we became the Americans, and then the continental Africans. We became diasporans and continental. We don't see our bond anymore. And some of us, there was a video, I don't know if it was you, Dibias, who sent it to me. Somebody sent me a video where people were discussing the relationship between African Americans and continental Africans, or diasporan Africans and continental Africans, where when you get ready to leave Nigeria, most people, they are warned whom to relate to. When you get to the United States, you have to be careful who you relate to. You don't want to relate to Black people. Stay away from them. They give them all kinds of negative, descriptions of who African Americans are. All right, and tell them, you go and move in the neighborhoods where there are white people, because those are safer. And yet, when you look at crime, who commits the most crime in the world? I'm not talking about just America. In the world, the very people that we tell our people to go and be next to are the very ones that will turn against us. Our own people will discourage us from being with our own people. That was a very powerful presentation. That we actually, from Africa, we caution our children, our people, whom to see, whom to be with when they get to the United States. Don't be with your own people because of all these attributes. So there's no Ubuntu. There's no I am we and we is me. You are African. So, and then the African Americans themselves also have maybe some misplaced information about Africa. I remember when I went to school at the University of North Alabama, my roommate was African American. Oh, she did not want to be my roommate. Oh no, she wanted to remind me, I am not a jungle bunny. I am not from Africa. My people are Indian. I need, she did everything to convince me. And I looked at her and I said, sister, you just as Black. What is all this nonsense about you? And she did not want me to speak about her being from Africa, having the same roots as her. She told me, no, I am not from there. So I said, well, what do you know about there? What do you know about Africa? Well, you know how you people are. Y'all poor, y'all have flies all over the eyes of the children, and you're this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh my God, you haven't gone past Alabama, have you? You gotta get out of this community a little bit, baby. You have not left Look, she hasn't left Alabama, let alone America. How can you think that of Africans? But then, that's just the thing. That's how they
Information
are
they
taught
didn't
about us.
need.
And then we are taught all these negative things. It's in the movies and everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's that the value system of Onyagala one day, I don't leave your brother or sister behind, or Minachis what is all, huh? You go ahead and say it. Or a hands or someone. What is that? My niece's name is so maybe Samabuna. Is that right, Yuji? So I can't live by myself. I need my community. I'm not here alone. We have lost that. We fight African Americans and Africans, not just African Americans. That's right. I know of a woman from Jamaica. Oh no, I am Jamaican. Well, I get that. That's where you live now. But I'm talking about your ancestry. They don't want to be associated with Africa because of all the negativity. And then you have the Africans themselves who don't want to associate because of all the negativity. We are taught
We just messed up.
Respect and love each other. So that it's gotten so embedded in our minds that we can't stand to see each other succeed.
We don't have any system that now imbues African values in us. Even the Jews go through
That's it. Yeah. Whereas in the past, we didn't have government doing for us. We did. When I was a child, I remember when you are walking from your house to the stream, you see women and children sweeping. It's just their huts.
In the village,
they keep it. It's a collective thing. They keep it clean. Not now. Everybody's in church. Everybody's too big to pick up a broom. If your neighbor is sick and can't clean her or his environment, that's none of your business.
Our values are no longer ours. We got somebody else's values.
Thank you. We value other people's values and not ours. We don't see the worst value that we have picked up is, you see, I'm gonna tell you something. I love the phone, but I'm gonna tell you something, how this is destroying us. Whereas if I see my brother or my sister being beaten up, instead of me helping, I start filming. Can you help me? Oh, that's all right, baby. I got it on tape. Somebody's beating me up.
I hope you're not guilty of that.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody's beating me up. You see what's beating each other, pulling their wings, boxing each other. And then these brothers standing around. They say, "You help me." He says, "All right, baby. You take him to court because I got it on film." Yeah, I got him. Bet you'll be whooped. That is not our value.
I saw a woman beating up a 3-year-old child. I mean, almost beat that baby to death. And somebody was just filming it. And telling her, stop beating the child. You're going to kill the child. And then he's filming it. And there were men out there telling her, don't beat. The kid was 3 years old. What could a 3-year-old have done to deserve any kind of beating at all? I don't care. What could a 3-year-old have done to deserve any beating from the mom? A little spanking or something, but to get beat with cane?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Almost killed that kid. And I wasn't even angry at the mom. I was angry at the idiots that were standing around and didn't snatch that woman's hair from her head.
Yes, I've seen
that. I would have.
I've seen that. I've seen a baby being beaten mercilessly. This child could be maybe about 18 months. Picked up, smashed, beaten, everything. Oh my God, I'm screaming at the computer. I am screaming, saying, help her, help the baby. But somebody is filming it. That is not our culture.
Ridiculous.
If this is how we used to, your parents would say, are you running back here because that person beat on you?
I learned my lesson.
Come and show me who you're running from. And if God help you, if that person is smaller than you, then your mama will whoop you or your dad will whoop you. It's the same
right back out there.
They tell you, you better get back out there and fight. Because we don't want you to go behind and start talking about somebody when you can handle it right there and then. But not with guns. We didn't use guns. We didn't use knives to fight. As a kid, if you couldn't put those dukes up, too bad.
That's too bad for you.
That's on you. And then if an elder sees you people fighting, they intervene. I don't know what they would have done then with the camera, but thank God we didn't have cameras back then. We can still have something to think about.
No, because back then we still had some spiritual values. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, we still have that. I mean, people still went through rites of passage and all that. But that was why the rites of passage was very important. In most Igbo villages, it really was. I mean, the Jews go through bar mitzvah. Why do you think? It's to indoctrinate you squarely into certain principles and religious attributes that you have to exemplify as a Jewish citizen globally. Same thing in the village. Every spiritual dictate, every moral value that you have was imbued in you through this rites of passage. And in the old days, that thing lasted 7 years. That's how long it lasted. You get to like the age of 11 or 12, you leave your parents' home. You're not coming back again until you're 17, 18 years old. You're not coming back. It is in that period of time that you learn everything you need to learn as an adult. And when you come out, a woman is already betrothed to you. You get married and start your own family. Farm, everything that you need to start you off, you have it. Now, depending on how successful you are in tilling your land, and for you to be able to get more land, you almost always have to be married to more than one woman. The bigger the family you have, the larger the land property that you could own to be able to have a bigger farm. But a lot of people think that you marry more than one wife because you just want to put women down and all that. That's not what it was about. It was socio-economic. That's all it was about. It wasn't about men are just much beasts and we hate women and all that. Okay, give me a break, man. You'll be surprised how that woman in the village, my grandmother used to deal with my granddad, even Joseph Stalin. And it reminds me of what granddad says, my granddad was only married to my grandma. He was only married to one woman. He said the only person that he ever feared in his life is his wife. He could control and order generals all over the place. But when it comes to that wife of his, she had him by the palm of her hands. That's the power of women. That's the power of AK. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that I don't know how we're going to be able to affect leadership that is going to prioritize, our spirituality, our way of life, in Chiism, and in most indigenous African communities. But I think for us to start getting involved in this so-called nation formation, nation building and management, I really think that rites of passage and things like that should really be a prerequisite and a necessary exercise, for the next generation, for the younger generation. It just has to be instituted for us to be able to have the moral capacity to govern ourselves in a very positive manner.
And I just want to add this, and then Chidozie, you can finish up. I just wanted to add that anything worth having, worth doing, starts from within.
Yeah.
We have to start reconditioning our families. We have to start working with our families. And then we have to take it outside. I don't believe, there are some of these so-called traditional African spiritualities, and I think Dibias did say. You know, they do all these things they call African spirituality, and they have all these amulets, they have this and that and all
These are
that.
con men.
You know, they're conning people. You know, that there is no, that is not spirituality. When you're taking advantage of anyone in the name of African spirituality, then you're no worse than anyone else. Chidozie, you say you raised your hand. Did you have
Yeah, I
something?
just wanted to say what we're saying, for instance, in the whole of the Western world, Finland has done something. What Finland has done is to take education back to their tradition. They are not following the
Uh-huh.
usual European for about a decade now. They've ceased following the normal European style of formal education. They just simply went back to what education used to be and then modernized it. And you
Yeah.
see that the Finnish scholars are one of the best in the world. You know, just exactly what Dibias said, our normal process of life. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what we should make the foundation of education. Once we make it the
Yes.
foundation of education, the structure of our spirituality, that is form the structure of our society. Once we do that, this problem of alienation and negative spirituality, we will address it. If we do not do that and do that aggressively in this century, any African living will simply be a caricature of the African self,
Mhm.
a total black
Absolutely.
skin, white mask.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well said. Well said, my brother.
We
Well
have
said.
to we have to take matters into our own hands. But I think that sometimes we get discouraged because we think it has to be a big something right off the bat. It doesn't. It doesn't. It starts
From this,
little at a time.
what we do,
You know,
Yep.
from us, practice it in your family, then you know, in your community, and so on and so forth. And that is, again, that's why I love Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa is something that was started in the family. People were practicing in the family, those principles. Now they take it out, and now it's everywhere. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end. It's been an exciting show. Dibias Chidozie and Dibias UD. Thank you guys so much for your contributions today. I don't have the
Absolutely.
music that I'm going to end with. I'm going to end it with Akimi Bro, reminding all of us to please support this program, because we need your support to make anything happen. On that note, thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a good day, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Yagazino.
Yeah, guys.
Undewo. Long life to y'all. Hey, how y'all doing, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm just walking out here in nature, and I just felt like I had to say thank you all for showing us the support. Because I know there's been technical problems and been a lot of things going on in the world, but y'all stay and tune in every Sunday. And I much appreciate y'all for all the support. Over 11,000. I said 11,000. 111 subs on YouTube. So much love. Appreciate y'all. And I know there's over like thousands over in Facebook. But make sure to tune into our YouTube every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Turn on the post notifications. Like, comment, subscribe. Gosh. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. It will be much appreciated. And y'all have a wonderful day and have a blessed day. God bless you.